One day, Hatch and Mickey went to relax at a hot spring. When she got there, she saw Thomas standing helplessly on the fence. She was surprised that nobody seemed to notice him. "Oh, my," said Thomas, glaring at Mickey's towel-covered body in confusion, blushing as he did so. "What are you doing here, Thomas? Did your driver abandon you or something?" she asked Thomas. Thomas replied, "That problem was fixed years ago. My throttle just got stuck and I couldn't stop." He paused for a moment, looking on at Mickey. She then said, "I'll go tell the manager about this. Hopefully Ritsu can fix this problem you're having." I don't know why, Thomas thought to himself, but seeing her like that made me feel a little funny. The manager of the hot spring called Ritsu's number when she told him that Percy was right near the site where Thomas crashed. Percy could see the whole thing from where he was standing. "Looks like you've got feelings for one of the world's most famous artificial pop stars, Thomas?" he teased. "Bother," Thomas sneered, "just get me out of here." He then muttered to himself, "That engine must be psychic or something." As Percy was pulling Thomas back onto the railroad, he realized, "Hey, wait a moment. That doesn't sound right at all." Pity the day of Thomas' accident had to be the 4th of July. Thankfully it didn't occur during the night, because he had arranged to meet Luke and his new friend at Lake Fukuoka to watch the traditional fireworks show at that time of day. He was taking Mickey and her friends along with him. The display was wonderful, he thought. He decided to take this opportunity to talk to Luke about his day. "Hey, Luke," said Thomas, "do you want to hear about that encounter I had with Mickey at the hot spring?" "Oh, I already know about that," he blurted cheerfully. "I was there the whole time you two were chatting. I told Marilyn here all about it." Oh, Thomas stuttered. He didn't expect this at all. "How did you find out?" he asked. Luke said, "I worked there pulling trains full of people in swimsuits. You know, to give them a tour of the place while joyriding. It is a little bizarre to be attracted to a human girl, especially a teenager," said Marilyn. "Not if she's a machine," snarked Thomas. Marilyn seemed a little off-put and confused, despite having no face. "She's far more advanced in terms of technology than you are." Thomas frowned. He had never really thought of that before. He said, "Well, robot or not, something about her is very titillating to me and I'm going to find out just what it is right after I go get that jet thing hitched onto my boiler." Thomas went to a site near the lake where engines got to try out the all-new Jetstar 3000 Mark II. It was a jet engine that could be hitched onto a locomotive's boiler, giving him the gift of flight. Thomas was particularly interested in it himself. That was fun, wasn't it? "All right, who wants to go next?" said a man on a podium. Thomas yelled, "I'll go. Pick me, pick me." The man noticed Thomas' enthusiasm and decided to have the Jetstar attached to him. "Hooray! Off I go!" shouted Thomas. He whooshed across the lake to the Great Bridge and back again and was doing this until he crashed into a huge pile of garbage. Woo! That's enough fun, and of course accidents, for today. I need to get some sleep if I want to be able to pull the destroyer tomorrow," Thomas exclaimed as he was lifted out of the garbage pile by a large crane. He went back to his shed near Neru's house, put on his sleeping paint and mask, and went to sleep. The next morning he arrived at the site that the destroyer would soon be. The other engines were waiting for it on the siding, though it was a pretty silly name for a pub with its own distillation pools. "Hello, Thomas," Percy called out to Thomas. "Had any fun with your girlfriend last night?" All the other engines except Toby, who was rolling his eyes, chuckled at Percy's comment. "Knock it off, Percy," Thomas sneered. "I was hardly even with her." "Oh, really?" Percy remarked. "She must have been awfully close to your firebox when you went to pick her up." The engines laughed even harder. Thomas blushed. He was too cross to say anything at the moment. "Damn it, you guys! The destroyer's coming!" said a Japanese engine at the back of the line. The engines were quiet and went to do their job. After the destroyer was delivered, Thomas finally had the pipes to start speaking to Percy again. "Hey, Percy?" asked Thomas. "Yeah?" asked Percy. Thomas replied, "Have you ever been in a relationship with, say, an android of the opposite sex?" Percy just blushed and didn't say anything. The other engines laughed so hard that their boilers nearly burst to bits, while one of Bowser's ships, which randomly appeared out of nowhere, laughed so hard that he really burst into pieces, albeit very violently. Later that day, Thomas was thinking deeply about how his relationship with Action Mityu would go while he was delivering an old, beat-up Jetstar 150 Mark II to a local police station. "I can't believe it," he thought. "I'm attracted to a 22nd century android and I don't know what to do. Should I tell her up straight? Should I just keep to myself? Should I ask her if she wants to become a steam engine like me? That would be nice. But not for her. She definitely wouldn't want to be transformed against her will. Oh, what am I going to do?" he kept thinking to himself. He got so distracted that he didn't realize that his Jetstar had accidentally been activated or the fact that he was heading towards the ramp until it was too late. In not too long a moment, he crashed into an outdoor stage where Neru was texting someone on her cell phone. "Whoa!" yelled Neru. She turned around, saw Thomas poking out of one of the stage's wall. "Thomas?" she said, "how did you get all the way here?" Thomas replied, "Oh, I was just pulling this Jetstar along when it suddenly turned on and blasted me in this general direction." Neru didn't exactly believe his story. "Okay," she said skeptically. Thomas sighed. "It's just not my lucky week, is it?" He moaned depressingly. "Say," he said, "do you have any advice on how to form a romantic relationship with a singing robot?" "No." "Why?" she asked. Thomas hesitated before he said, "You see, I'm in love with Action Mityu." Neru was left speechless. She had never heard something like this coming from a talking steam locomotive. Her shocked expression slowly turned into a mischievous grin before she said, Oh, this is going on my Facebook page." Thomas was embarrassed. As soon as he was sent back to the main line, Ristu told him to pick up passengers from Studio V to deliver to the beach. He heard James puffing up from behind him. "Hey, Thomas," said James, "I'm sorry about what happened this morning, with Percy teasing you and all that. So what happened last night with you on the Jetstar 3000? Thomas thought for a moment. Thomas started to tell his story. "Well, after I was taken out of that nasty pile of garbage, I was sent back to the sheds for repairs. Let me tell you, diving headfirst into that junk was pretty damaging. It was pretty glum back at the sheds. Ritsu's so-called workers didn't even know what they were doing. To make matters worse, I got jealous when I saw Mityu with another engine. Now this was one that she seemed to really like, which really got me flustered." James interrupted. "You mean the new arrival? The red one with the yellow stripes, long funnel, and strange wheel arrangement?" Thomas continued. "Yeah, that one. He wasn't too bright despite his color. He asked me if I was some name Thomas Shade, apparently the vice president of a company called MMD. I had no idea what he was even talking about. He kept me up for 2 hours, while he kept mindlessly chanting one with the order over and over again." James was a little confused and interrupted again. I seem to recall that she was a girl engine." Thomas continued once more. "Oh. Well, anyway, that was the least of my problems. While I was up, I saw Gordon lifting and loading himself into Charlie. If you catch my drift. And you know what else happened. Fearless Freddy fearlessly joined in. Very, very fearlessly, I might add. And to top that off, the new engine was still chanting." James was shocked and disgusted by what he just heard. "Dear God, you're not making this up, are you?" "I sincerely wish I was, James," said Thomas as he puffed away awkwardly and thought, I sure hope the passengers didn't hear that. Thomas arrived at the beach when he saw Emily at the station and Matthew sitting on the bare sand sucking on an ice pop. He started to get really excited and nervous. He was blushing so hard that Emily could feel it from all the way from where she was standing. Oh my, she exclaimed, this attraction you have to Matthew is far more severe than I thought. You know about that? Said Thomas excitedly. Of course I do. The other engines told me all about it. Emily replied. Hi, Thomas. Matthew called out to him. Oh no, oh no, oh no, what should I do? WHATSHOULDIDO. Emily knew she had to try and get the situation under control before it got too out of hand. Just go and talk to her. I'm sure everything will be just fine. Whatever Thomas had for heart was beating faster than a bullet train. Oh, okay. He stuttered and went over to talk to her. Hey, Matthew. How's your day today? He chuckled nervously. Fine. Just fine, yeah, said Matthew while blushing bright red. Thomas noticed that she seemed a little demure. He wondered what was going on that made her feel this way, but didn't have the pipes to say anything. Said Matthew shyly, do you want to, you know, help me with a project of mine? Sure. Thomas replied, what is it? She hesitated for a while, then she said, I want to see if maybe steam locomotives and robots can reproduce. Thomas was shocked, surprised, hot, sweaty, and even more excited than he ever felt before. His steam port extended outward. He felt like he had an urge, but he didn't know what it was. What do you mean? He said awkwardly. Matthew replied, I want to have sex with you. That was it. Thomas finally knew what his body wanted him to do. He wanted to make love with a robot whose technology far surpassed his own and see what the results were. In short, he wanted to do Hatch and Matthew. Well, why do it in public when we can do it in the shed? He made wildly. I was thinking of going to the grotto, said Matthew. Without even thinking, Thomas said, even better. They both went over to the grotto, their hearts pounding like crazy and their cheeks red hot. But when they got there, things got a little problematic. Damn it. How do people, let alone androids and steam engines, do this sort of thing? He complained. Maybe you're trying too hard, suggested Matthew. Thomas thought for a moment as his steam port receded when he realized, wait, I could just call Emily and ask her for advice. Suddenly, Diesel 10 emerged from the pitch-black depths of the ocean near the grotto. Emily came straight out of his mouth in a flash. Thomas and Matthew were startled. Why not just use foreplay? She said as she and Diesel 10 slowly sunk back into the abyss. Then Matthew suddenly realized, oh, why didn't I think of that? Come on, Thomas, let's do this. Matthew started playing with Thomas' junk heap until it was ready for the job. She then rubbed it with a blazing hot opening outside her incubator and then put Thomas' junk into the entry shaft. Oh, ooh, tilde. Moaned Matthew pleasurably. Ow, whoa, tilde. Moaned Thomas happily. They both drooled as Thomas started to play around inside of Matthew. In a matter of seconds, Thomas pumped his driving rod into Matthew's piston harder than Thumper could ever have hoped to dream of pounding anything. They both sweated immensely and clung to each other as they did their dirty work. Ooh. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh god, tilde. Moaned Matthew as she breathed heavily. Oh man, oh man, oh man. Ooh, yeah, tilde. Oh, that feels good, moaned Thomas as he breathed heavily. They both started to twitch to and fro and breath even harder. Oh god, Matthew, tilde. moaned Thomas in immense pleasure. I think my whistle's gonna blow. But Thomas wasn't talking about his own two whistles up T-H-E-R-E. He was talking about the whistle down T-H-E-R-E. Oh, Zumayas, tilde. I think I'm about to come H-A-A-A-A-A-A-A-R-D, tilde. Moaned Mickey loudly. Thomas pumped his piston harder and faster. Their eyes started to water. They suddenly felt a huge rush of endorphins and adrenaline and hit each other even harder and even faster. O-O-O-O-H-O-O-H. O-O-O-H, tilde. O-O-O-O-O-O-O-O-O-O-O-O-O-O-O-O-O-O-O-O-O-O-O-O-O-O-O-O-O-O-O-O-O-O-O-O-O-O-O-O-O-O-O-O-O-O-O-O-O-O-O-O-O-O-O-O-O-O-O-O-O-O-O-O-O-O-O-O-O-O-O-O-O-O-O-O-O-O-O-O-O-O-O-O-O-O-O-O-O-O-O-O-O-O-O-O-O-O-O-O-O-O-O-O-O-O-O-O-O-O-O-O-O-O-O-O-O-O-O-O-O-O-O-O-O-O-O-O-O-O-O-O-O-O-O-O-O-O-O-O-O-O-O-O-O-O-O-O-O-O-O-O-O-O-O-O-O-O-O-O-O-O-O-O-O-O-O-O-O-O-O-O-O-O-O-O-O-O-O-O-O-O-O-O-O-O-O-O-O-O-O-O-
Yes, Your Majesty.
Thomas had no idea how it happened, but he knew that he finally did it. He, a 1900 Z2 Billington with a face, had successfully passed down his genetic material into a futuristic android from the early 2100s. He felt very proud of himself and overall very, very satisfied. "Wow," said Thomas, while trying to catch his breath, "that was amazing." Mickey replied, "Wanna get married?" "I mean, it's kind of too late not to do that anyway. Maybe after that, we could do this again sometime." "Sure," said Thomas, "why not?" They happily went off into the sunset and lived happily ever after. But then, when Thomas wasn't looking, Mickey called Ritsu on her cell phone. "The deed's been done," she said, "and I think we're about to do a lot more of those deeds." "Excellent, darling," Ritsu replied. "Looks like Project Rail Hydra is officially underway. I guess that when it comes to scheming and steaming, for a miracle to happen, Emily really knows her stuff." HMM. She chuckled artificially as she hung up on Mickey. Ritsu knew that her diabolical plan had worked. The end.
It's the most beautiful thing I ever saw. It warms the cockles of my cold, cold, cold-blooded heart. Bye-bye. Bye-bye, you lovebirds. Oh, Clump. Yes, Your Majesty. Cut it out, you lunkhead.